Hey guys, how are you? Welcome, welcome. I hope everybody is having a fantastic Tuesday, and thanks for dropping by to the card making class. This is streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. On YouTube, I've got a poll going in terms of what theme we might want to do for these cards using up our Christmas strips. Christmas is winning by a wide margin. So I did grab my stamp sets. Anyway, a couple of them that are more Christmassy themed. If you registered for the class, you got the cutting guide on Monday, and I will throw up a banner here quick in case you didn't and you want it anyway. There we go. There we go. We'll just leave that streaming in case anybody needs that. Hello, Delise. How are you? Thank you. I am a fan as well. Anyway. So there's that. This works just like our last class in that if you pre-register, you get the cutting guide early. If you want to have a kit to make this whole process easier so you don't have to do your own cutting, that's free with purchase from Stampin' Up. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And it is a free shipping day with Stampin' Up, which happens very rarely. So I thought in honor of them running their promo, I would also give away a card kit at the end of the stream. So hang out for that. I will promo it just because I think it can go almost anywhere because outside of the box, it is pretty lightweight. I had some plans to do a summer thing, but I don't think I'm doing that at this point. So this is the Panda Friends card kit. Maybe I'll get on screen. Anyway, it makes all these things, and it is one of the all-inclusive ones, so you don't need like a stamping block or anything. You just stick it together, and you see that it has some cute little gems as well. Anyway, we will be doing that at the end. I did weigh it, and it's less than a pound, so I think it can go all over the place. Hey, Pam, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday to you as well. So we will be doing that. Yeah, I think it could actually probably ship internationally if you do wind up winning because, as I said, it's pretty light. Let me just show you the cards we're going to make. I have my kit ready to go. And I will end. Oh, we're having a very tight poll 57% holiday. If you don't want holiday, I encourage you. And these are my test examples. I made like not using holiday stuff just because. These are from Saying Hey, I think, and I think there's some sentiments from other places, but just that I really love these like winter foliage pads. There's a winter meadow one too that I think I have extra from last year. But basically, like it doesn't need to be Christmas. I actually really like this one. I think was the funnest one to make, honestly. But then we have other ones like this. This gives you a lot of options. So there's a lot of ways that you can use up your scraps. And this is a mixed up crafts homage. And I'll chat about that when we get to the last card. I did put white panels on the inside of all these, but that is what we are doing. If you have any questions or are crafting along, just let me know in the chat. Because if there are folks who are, if I get ahead, let me know. Ooh, Gazette ordered something. Ooh, that's pretty cool. I do like the Magic Mats. They make life a lot easier. You're in and out with your burger, or you're at In and Out Burger. I'm eating my burger. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Hey, Gloria, welcome. Yeah, Gloria got a kit, so she is likely to craft along with us as well. I will try and not get too far ahead then. Although I think these, especially with the kits, these are relatively easy to put together. So let's start working on them because I think I got through everything. Don't know if you hang out to the end, everyone, because we are going to do a giveaway. And if you got the kit, you basically got your 4 pieces. And I think I'm going to do the, if you looked at my examples and then read the PDF, you probably noticed that I didn't actually follow my sketches entirely, and neither should you. I mean, I think especially when you're using up your scraps, just sort of, you know, oh, the cat's here. Linux will say hi, and then we will encourage him to not be in camera. If he, yeah, you see, there are random whiskers. There we go. Let us encourage him off the desk. Whoops. Excuse me, sir. We will just get you over to the side. There we go. And I flipped my, almost stuck my card panel to the desk. Anyway, I'm just going to put the inside part in here first. There we go. And you can put this together either with tape or wet glue. I think I may, because I cut these in a sequence. So I think if I can figure out how I put these together, yeah, I think this will be. I think I will do that this time just to mix it up a little bit. Here you can kind of see. So you can also, similar to the first card we did last time, you can also reassemble a scene if you're working with more of a scene paper. Obviously, I am not, but that's also a nice thing to do. My friend Annie actually sent me one of the cards that she made in class, which was really fun. And she did that where she took a gingerbread house and broke it up into, essentially cut it into slices so that you had like a really neat look to the whole thing. So I generally put the two sides on and then worry about the spacing in the middle. If that is not something that you love, you can actually measure these things out, but I don't know. I kind of wing it and it usually works out. The nice thing about this particular paper, and I'm just going to eyeball sort of the height so that these are about the same. And then I usually tack down one side and then get it down to the bottom. And that's a little bit crooked, but I think we can grab our pokey tool and pull that up, hopefully. So if you just get in under the dry adhesive, you can usually pull this up as long as it's not completely down. As long as you haven't like mushed it down, if you know what I'm saying. You usually have a little bit of play. So I'm going to just even that up a little bit. I'm going to do that, and we're looking pretty good. Then I'm going to put on this one and then the last one. Yeah, I mean, I think you can wing it with this. I mean, especially since you're going to be putting a sentiment sort of piece on top of it. Oh, and I forgot to end our poll. I will do that quickly, and holiday one, as I thought it was likely to. Which is good, because I have the... I didn't actually vote in this poll. I think what would I have voted for? I like both. Is that terrible to be like, it's a poll, but I like both answers. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Oh, I will show you this. This isn't actually a Stampin' Up thing, but if you are more a even things out person, I did pick up one of these. These are actually sometimes marketed as sewing rulers, but basically you can use the little squares to precisely lay things out. So those are a thing that exists as well. I'm generally not that super picky, but you know, it's just sort of what you want your card to be, right? So I'm going to put the last piece on. And I feel like this paper, even if you put it on upside down, it would actually work just fine. But, you know, I'm just going to, there we go. Just sort of, I tend to just sort of even out the space, and then I think it works pretty well. So your two options are, on my example card, I actually put a larger piece of pattern paper. I think because this is all green, I don't need to do that this time, but just FYI, that's let me grab the example card and you can kind of see why I made that choice. right? Because there was white here and this is white, it kind of blended in a little bit. So on the example, if you did the white side, you could actually put another layer underneath. But I think because this is basically all green, this is going to work great. So let's see. Thought it would be fun to grab one of these winter greetings. I like, if we want to go holiday, which seemed to win the day. I was curious if this will fit. If it doesn't, you can always, of course, punch it out again. Let It Snow would definitely fit. That'd work too. Winter greetings. And then the other one is Make the Season Sparkle. That'll be tight, but I think that will, let's do Let It Snow. I think that one would fit this particular size the best. We'll have a nice little, and you could use a stamp positioner or a block. I have a block on my desk, and I think this will be relatively straightforward. Let me see where I put my black ink. Oh, there it is. So I'm just going to grab some black ink. You could certainly do a metallic ink here too, if like that's the kind of vibe you like. And the nice thing about doing this on a circle is as long as it's in the middle, like whether it's straight or not is less of an issue. So I'm just going to press that down, and you see it picked it up, and I'll pull it off, and we are pretty good. That's sort of overstamped. I think I will try that again. Sometimes with a block, I get overexcited and tend to smush it too much, which is one of the benefits of actually using a positioner. So rather than smushing it, I'm just going to make sure that it's, there we go. That one looks better. This is something I didn't know when I first started making cards, but like anytime you can do the stamping or other like trickier pieces all by itself. Oh, awesome. Way to go. That is very cool. Yeah, I overstamp. Yeah, I mean, you can't, if you stamp on something that's not like this is a hard mat on top of a, it's close enough. And I mean, I think like honestly, a lot of people like the imperfections in handmade cards, and then some people don't. So I mean, it kind of depends on what you personally like. I kind of lean into it at times when I've sort of oopsied it, but I don't know. Um, I think that people just love the. I think cards just make people happy, so I think people just love the thought. I'm gonna eyeball this in sort of the middle of this second piece, so it's gonna overlap a little bit on the first and the first and the third. You get a little bit of it, and then it's mostly on the second. And that's how that one goes together. Certainly, you can also pop this up on foam if you want more of a 3D look. You can pop these up on foam too. So you can add dimension if you want to this card, but I figured I would keep these relatively straightforward because then they mail well. So one card done. And I will get our snowflakes out of the way. So that is our first card. Our second card is actually one of my favorite techniques, where we're basically going to make this background piece. If I find where I put my card, here we go. So we're going to mostly focus on making this background piece, and we're going to use an acrylic sheet for that. Or sorry, an adhesive sheet for that. Wow, words today. So let me just pull this out. If you did get a kit, I left the actual piece of pattern paper intact so you could kind of make your own decisions about how wide of a strip you want. I think I'm going to go a little bit wider for this one than on the example card, mostly for time, because this is one of those like really relaxing card techniques where, you can kind of futz with it as long as you want. In fact, the acrylic sheet, the adhesive sheets, I don't know why I keep calling them acrylic sheets. Words today. Are basically the size of like half a sheet of cardstock. So you can make a really big one of these and then cut it down. So I'm just going to get our inside piece placed so I don't forget about it later. There we go. And you could certainly like embellish this or stamp it or do whatever you want with it. And then the second thing I'm going to do is get there's a sentiment strip, which I'm just going to put to the side until we are done here. And the way these things work is sort of like double-sided tape. There's sort of a crack in here, and then the release paper comes off one side. So basically, these are like a really big piece of double-sided tape. So I'm just going to get this down on the panel. You don't really have to worry about getting this perfectly on there. And then I'm going to burnish it to lay the adhesive down. Because after we put all the strips on, we're going to have to cut this anyway. So I think that will be fine. And I'm going to actually use this side this time. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of scrap of some sort. I think we could go, let's go blue, just because it's what I have on hand. But you can totally use or we could just use both pieces. Maybe I'll use both sides of the pattern paper to get a similar look to this one. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. I'm going to leave this release paper on the other side until I have my strips. But just to mix it up, let's do 1/2-inch strips. And that's going to look kind of like this. I do love on this trimmer how you have the measurements on the side you're cutting, because it can get, I don't know, I always get a little always find it a little tricky to do the math when you want a little bit of a strip. And these don't all have to be the same size either. It's really dependent on what you like. So I'm just going to cut this in the middle. If we have any questions. Yeah, these are Stampin' Up! Adhesive sheets, although all sorts of people make them. They're actually a good thing. Like if you wind up with Stampin' Up! Extra fun bucks. Sorry, Stampin' words today. They're a really good thing to add on because I think they're like $5 or something. They're really inexpensive. Yes. And then you do the same thing on this side to find wherever we can either just peel the edge. But you can also, usually I don't have a seam on this piece that I cut, but you usually do. Anyway, so now we want to be kind of careful because this is super sticky, but it's really fairly fluid, and you just sort of decide how. We did a very diagonal one, so let's do a less diagonal and do it more of a up and down, but this time around just to mix things up. But you can do it really however you want. I tend to kind of like to balance strips of the same size sort of on both sides of wherever I start, but there's a lot of flexibility to this. And if you wind up running out of paper, not an issue for me today, but if you have a little bit of one thing and a little bit of another thing, that looks really cool too. It gives you a really sort of quilty design, which I like. I'm going to do these two. These two look about the same, so I think I will do those next. I'm not really worried about this reassembling into a pattern, so I'm being a little, I don't know, less careful than I might have been, because we're ultimately going to use this more as a background piece. And I think if I use this one, I can cover this last bit. They'll often get to this edge and then have sort of a strange piece. But as you can see, I am out. So let me grab. Here's a nice. Now this is a similar green to what's in this pattern paper, so that I will just cut off another 1/2-inch sliver. We are working with this paper. Basically, it has both old olive and garden green, so basically any green will work because it just sort of lays down however you want. So now you're going to have this sort of untenable mess and wonder what you're going to do with it. And basically, you just want to trim this off with a trimmer to get it to be sort of in this format. I tend to like the guillotine style trimmers for this, just because you're less likely to rip the paper off. But if you have a fresh blade in, like the drop-in blade trimmers, those work too. So this particular trimmer, it has kind of a weird place where it actually cuts. So I did pretty well. But basically, you want to cut as little of the panel off as possible, but ideally cut one of your sides straight, and then you can use that to go into your trimmer and cut the rest. And as you see, I've almost knocked that one off. When I did the original, there we go. One of these, I wound up with some slightly funky pieces at the corners. I can show you that here. So this is the one we made today, and then this I'm just gonna crash because I don't think I'll get much out of it. But as you can see, like these are sort of different patterns, but they both have kind of fun vibes. Like some of these little corners, you have to be a little careful with if you're using the drop-in blade trimmers. That said, if you had a sharp blade, that would work really well. And then I usually just make sure this is all stuck down. The benefit of the adhesive sheet is if I did this with wet glue, it potentially would really waterlog the paper. So I like them for this particular technique. Plus, if you're the kind of person who has a ton of scraps, it can just be kind of a relaxing thing to do to put these kind of backgrounds together where you could, if this is a 3x4, but you could do any size that you want, really. Hey Lala, how are you? Welcome. I hope you are well. So I put some double-sided tape on the back, and I'm just gonna eyeball this in the center. Obviously, we wouldn't necessarily need to put it in the center. You could shift it up if you want to do something else. But for this particular card, I want to cut this a little shorter because I sort of want more of the background to show. This one was not cut shorter, and you can see that it goes almost all the way. So I think that I could probably figure out what I should do. Well, let's do winter greetings would be nice. Wherever on earth I put my block. Here we go. And this threw me initially. If you buy these Stamp It Up sets, they're backwards, but these are backwards because that's what you see when you look through the stamp. And so you can just stick the photopolymer stamps to the back here if you want. So let's grab Winter Greetings. And because I'm going to cut some off, I'm going to kind of I'm going to try and shoot for sort of this area, sort of around here, which, you can see that on camera. Because I know I'm going to cut some of the side off, and you can basically cut as much of the side off as you want to have it line up. I think just to mix this up, let's stamp this in green, because that would sort of go with everything. And stamping it right side up is a good idea, although sometimes I forget and don't. Yeah, I think this will look good right about there. Just want to hold gently but firmly for like a couple seconds, and then ideally you won't overstamp. I did pretty good here. You can see the bottom of one of these G's is a little funky, but we'll just call it distressed and call it a day. Put that over there. And then we kind of want to figure out where we want it. I think about here, and then I'm going to diagonally cut it to sort of balance the space. And then we will actually have, and you can obviously play with this angle. I kind of like sort of a 45-degree angle, and you can always cut off more. So if you don't know exactly where you want it, cutting it a little long works. So I think this will be great. The one thing I want to do is actually use a little bit of my scrap here and just make a little bit of you know what you'd call it, a little bit of a I want to call it a cardstock shim, but a little bit of support for the side of this sentiment that's not going to have cardstock on it or not be under that front panel, and that will help it not sag, which I don't know. I think definitely makes it look like a more finished card, and you don't really have to worry about these being like super duper aligned because as long as it's sort of hidden by this the top strip, it will work just fine. I tend to kind of bring it in a little bit just so it's hidden. We have a lot of room to play with here, so I mean this should. So you can see this is supported, and then this is supported on this side. So this definitely makes it um, a little more stable, especially once it runs through like the mail sorter. Um, so I am a big fan of doing that. Probably not always, but especially in something like this, where if you have like a panel that's has a couple of layers on it. I don't know if Dawn is going to be live later, Lala. I have not heard. Hopefully, I always enjoy watching Dawn. So here's our pretty straightforward panel card. I think this was actually my favorite in the set because I love this technique of like making your own sort of quilty background. So that is that. That one is very versatile. And I mean, what you can also do is like if you keep if you store your scraps by color, like you could just go into your scrap bin and grab a whole bunch of these. Hey Linda, how are you? Alrighty, that works for me. Moving on to our third card, and yes, I reused my envelopes from last time, but it all works out. Our third card is somewhat similar. If you got the kit, I gave you a pretty big piece of pattern paper for the same reason as the last card. It gives you more flexibility with your strips. So let's start out the same way as we've been doing, where we just put our inside piece in. I really want to use the gold here. And I think what we can do, we could actually swap out the piece that's here for, whoo, goodness, that is crooked. There we go. That's another card making tip. I'm sure all of you guys know this already, but like, even if you mangle your cardstock filling up your adhesive, like if you're going to put something over it, no one will ever know. And you could think that you had it nice and level from the beginning. Anyway, so we are going to cut this. This should be measured to 4 inches already. So we just need to cut this horizontally into as many pieces as we want. But I think before we do that, I'm going to do a little bit of thinking about what we want to do on our front here. What I was thinking is, since I had a bunch of die cuts left over, it would be fun to do a little bit of a collage on here. Because I had this. Yeah. No, I thought I could use this and a few of these gold pieces and do just sort of a. I guess it's not really a floral spray because it's all pine, but you know what I'm saying. A foliage arrangement. Is that a thing? I don't know. Yeah, I think 2 of these is the right amount. And the reason this is white is that you could also just stamp on this too. We could like, so if we took our snowflakes, for example, there we go. So I think this will be a really cute look. Alternatively, we could do something like this, where we just sort of make almost like a faux wreath. But I really like the green here, especially. Actually, I think maybe I'll just do one because that'll give us sort of three things. Actually, this is already three branches. No, I think I might do both of these. I do really like this as sort of an idea, so let's try that. And we may need to do the same thing I just did on this, because I think what we'll wind up having is a lot of die cuts that we want to put a sentiment over the top of. So let's just do that. There's that. I did get a little bit of glue on the needles. I don't think it's going to be overly noticeable in the finished product because we're going to put another die cut on top of it. But one way to avoid that is you can actually flip these die cuts over and then sponge a little bit of glue on top of it. We really only need to tack this down, so I don't think it'll be a big deal for us. And the other thing you can do is you can use your acrylic blocks just as a weight. Only don't use the side with the ink that's right there, or that would have been a sad time. Just gonna put this guy over the top. There we go. And I think that's gonna look really cool. Hello, Barbara. Welcome, welcome. I do hope Stampin' Up! Adds Asia. I was chatting with them after we chatted about that. It seems like there would be a lot of Asian countries that would really enjoy it. And I think we are going to do the same thing here. This one is a little narrow for Season's Greetings, so let us grab a slightly different sentiment. See if there's anything that's will fit. If not, oh, For You would fit. That would be a good one. I like For You as a sentiment on this particular card. Oops, I see that I did not let this dry enough. Just get that out of the way. The For You will just stamp down like that, which will be great. And if you are working with die cuts and see them lift up a little bit, there are two things you can do. One is you can use your ink pad or something else just to weight it down to help the glue grab. I'm using a PVA glue or what standard white glue. So sometimes it takes a minute, but generally it'll generally grab after about 10 seconds. And I just got ink on my hand. So let's get that. Hopefully not turn things too much of a strange color. Again, if you wind up, oh, that looks about perfect. If it wasn't perfect, I could always flip it over and try again. And I think this would be a good use of some foam dimension here. What you could decide if you want to do is if you put this at the bottom, you can cover up the stems, but you could also do something like this where some of the stems come out, depending on what you like. I actually kind of like it at the bottom because it's like the branches are growing out of the For You. And there's not as much bulk at the bottom, so I don't think I necessarily need to lift that up. Although I just dropped my sentiment on the floor, which I wouldn't recommend doing. So I'm just going to add some glue and then put this down. Then we can sort of let this dry while we work on the rest of our background. That's how that looks. I think it's quite cute. Again, I even though this is a holiday sentiment, it's you could just use something like this as a tag almost, because that's a pretty cute idea. Anyway, back on making the card I was planning to make. The example uses half-inch pieces again to sort of break this up. Let's see. I think almost I prefer this against the green. Yeah, I like it a lot better against the green because there's a lot of gold in here already. So I feel like this would be very matchy against the gold. Let me just add a little drop of glue here. Just to tack that down. So let me grab my trimmer again and we can just make some more strips. Now, just to mix it up a little bit, let's do 3/4 inch strips this time. It'll change the look, not a huge amount, but I think they'll definitely see a difference once we get this together. So I think that'll be kind of fun to see how it works out. This is also this is a pattern you could reassemble, but because it's more modeled, I don't think there's an obvious top or bottom here. Yeah, because it looks more just sort of like a modeled paper. And just to mix it up, let's use glue this time. I feel really bad. The only thing about these papers is I feel really bad like covering up all the like pretty shiny bits to have a green card, but it is kind of the problem of double-sided paper where it all kind of, there's so many that you just want to use both sides of. Hey Cindy, welcome, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Hey Pam. I agree. I like doing tags, especially during the holidays. So let's just space this out a little more than on my example card, just to mix it up. Except I just grabbed two, but and I'm kind of keeping the same spacing here. And then once I get to the bottom, I'll make sort of an executive decision on sort of the last part. The other thing is you could also move up a little bit and then if you had weird spacing, it would land behind the panel so people wouldn't really notice it too much. So I will just go to the bottom here. The nice thing about this glue is it dries matte, so like that shouldn't be an issue. And I do need one more strip. So I will cut that. I wasn't sure how many I would need. Some of it has to do with I haven't figured out all the magical math. Oh, that'll work out quite nicely. So let me grab a little more wet glue. You could, of course, do this with tape too. I did the original one with double-sided tape. It's really if you balancing out the sort of pros and cons of whatever adhesive you like the best. I kind of like both, but I'm probably more of a wet glue person, but I also don't like it when the wet glue waterlogs my card. So here's our background together. I think this will really pop once we get this together. So we could either use, I think I'll keep using a little bit of glue here, but you could either use glue or you could use the double-sided tape. And I just sort of eyeballed this in the center, and it actually can be pretty straightforward because you have sort of your top and your bottom strip, so you just kind of want to use the same amount of space in both. Then I'll just use my block to just sort of squeegee this out. And I got a little oopsie here, which is fine. I don't mind this because it's kind of green and looks sort of distressed. But if you didn't like this, you could get this off. Once it dries, you can either get it off with a sand eraser or you can just cover it. Like we could just do 4 little bits of bling or like cut some gold strips and put that over. So anytime you do an oopsie, it's not the end of the world. So this is our third card together. I do like how this sort of foliage spray came together. I do like this quite a lot. I think this might contend for a favorite card now. Anyway, let me put that over to the side, and we can work on our final card. I should organize my desk a little bit so that we have all the cards we made today together. Okay, there are the first three. Move on to the last one, which is really a homage to one of my favorite crafters. So it works. If you look at the instructions, essentially we're going to use this to cut some squares, and I think we'll use the gold side this time around. And then we have a sentiment strip. Then we have a lot of free space if we want to bring in some of our other leftover die cuts and stuff to kind of create a focal point. Or this is a really good card if you have like very busy pattern paper, because there's enough like white space in it that it gives your eye a lot of places to rest. There we go. So again, just putting our panel in here. And if we look at our example card, this is actually flipped. The original sketch had these pieces here and these pieces down here. But for this particular piece, I really wanted to keep the bell together. So that's why I wound up flipping the card. But as you can see, if you move the sentiment strip like down here, like you have all this space that you can do something with. So I am going to make a bunch of 1-inch squares out of this, 9 to be specific. And if you are working off the kit, you should have a 3x3 that you can use. Actually, I think I will just pre-score this at 1 inch. And then 1 inch. It'll make cutting these squares a lot easier. So I'll just go here. And this isn't as like a lot of these patterns. This one isn't super specific in terms of how it goes together, but if you were working with a really busy pattern that had elements you wanted to piece back together, you can certainly do that on this card. And we can wind up using either side of this paper depending on what we're going to go with. So we can do a little bit of dry fitting before we put this together. I think it would be neat to actually interchange the gold and green, except these are cut a little long. Anyway, what I was thinking we could do is we could do like this, and then come back in with our green. I think that'll be fun. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty neat. We just need to cut our remaining 3 pieces here. Just need to cut these to the right dimensions. But luckily they're too big and not too small. It would be much harder to deal with if they were too small than too big. But I think what we'll do is sort of the same thing on the side. So let me just get these evened off. The nice or not nice thing about this particular trimmer is it magnets when you close it. So I really like it, but if that is not your jam, there are other options available. So basically, we're just going to do this. And I think we can put our sentiment down here, and then maybe grab one more of those like pine boughs to put sort of up, going up the side. There we are. And you can, I usually start with a corner. I didn't this time, but basically you want to start with one piece and then try and keep all of your space in between the pieces about the same. And you can use a ruler and other tools to just keep this space if you want this to be precisely perfect. Obviously, I'm not a precisely perfect person, but I think there are a million different styles for people. So that's basically what we're going to do here, and then I'm going to flip the card and start working on this side. But I am a big fan of just figuring out what we. Oh, thank you, Lala. I don't know. I like, as mentioned, this is somewhat lifted from Sam Calcutt. The original on this used a lot of animal print, which, like a whole card front of like, I think it was sort of neon zebra print would be, well, some people, including Stamper Girl, would just adore it, but other people kind of might feel like that's just a lot of look to have all together. Um, so it's neat. So you can I am doing this particular layout, but obviously anything you can make with squares you could make too. So I have seen people do sort of similar things and almost, at a certain point it just sort of turns into pixel art too. So, there's that. And like really the direction on this paper doesn't matter because like you're going to probably notice the color first. Whoops. But since we were sticking with using the same paper that we used on the last class, this stays pretty easy because we're basically dealing with almost a monochromatic color palette because it's basically a metallic and green. And this is a fairly neutral green too. Anyway, so we have our pieces together. I do feel like because I feel like I do want to do the original design. I do want to cut this strip once we figure out what sentiment we want. But I think we can have this here and then do something in this area. So let us look at our box of extra bits. And we have some strips. I'm curious if I thought I do have these bells, which would be kind of interesting. Although, I don't know. I do think it would look really cool like this. And then we could do the same technique where we kind of have this down here. Oh, I like that. And then have the sentiment over it. I think that would look really cool. Then we just need to figure out what sentiment we want and stamp it to length. So let me grab a wipe quick and clean this off so we don't inadvertently get ink on something else. And let us put this one back as well. And we can look at our greetings of the season maybe and grab something for here. And we have a lot of good options, honestly. But I think we'll go with Christmas since I was somewhat remiss at using Christmas for anything. Oops, and there's a little berry. Here we go. So we'll have a Christmas and maybe do a Merry. That would be fitting. Happy Holidays would also work well here, but I really liked mixing the two fonts together. And you can just sort of figure out where you want this and can always hope that we will stamp it correctly the first time. Then I'll just pick these up on a block. And let's do these in black again. That would be good just to sort of set it out. But I mean, you could certainly do these in green or like a navy or something like that would be nice. I am of course a huge fan of navy. So I'm just gonna get this mostly where I want it, and hope that we stamp it well the first time. And if we don't, we can try again on the other side. And we kind of oopsied the C in Christmas, so I'm going to see if we can't try this again. That may have been not inking it correctly, or also sometimes if I'm not entirely square, that also will do that. Let's make sure I hit the C. Whoops. There we go. Woo. Oh, that one's kind of mangled too. Let me just recut this and we will try again. That's the benefit of stamping not on your card whenever you possibly can, is if there are oopsies, they are much more recoverable. Oh, that is pattern paper. Do I have a white scrap? I must have a white scrap. I don't have a white scrap. Let me grab white scrap. I'm pretty sure I had one too. Oh well. You know how it is. Every time you're looking for something, it is not findable on a live. Oh. Well, we could actually stamp on the back of that. But we can just grab a piece of white here quick. And we're going to do an inch. And we'll have more than enough to play with here. Just cut this to 4 just for giggles, and go from there. Now we have an extra one too, so we'll have lots of opportunities to stamp this correctly. See if I'm missing anything. Ooh, vellum is pretty. I haven't done a lot with vellum. I feel like I should do more because I love the look of vellum. It is absolutely one of my favorite holiday things. I don't know why vellum feels so holiday, but it does. There we go. That one came out great. So sometimes it's just a matter of trying a few times and then you'll eventually nail it. Oh yeah. I don't know. We've had actually good weather this week here. I guess the question is if we want to cut this a little bit. There's still a little oopsie here. We will try this. Let me clean my stamp and try this again because I think I may have gotten ink somewhere I didn't mean to. And if that doesn't work, we can try it in green or use the other piece. I don't know. It's after all, this is a fun hobby, so it's not the end of the world if we just oopsie things a few times. There we go. Perfect. And we could cut a little bit of this off, I think. Let me just grab some scissors because there's not a huge border there. So I think I'm going to just even this up. There we go. Cut off part of the Mary that didn't work out too well. So now I'm going to pull this, get our little spray in place. There we go. And since this is going to be here, I kind of want to start it here and then have it go in this direction. And hopefully not we got a little ink on the card, but we're going to cover that up, so it's fine. And what we can do is shift this up just so you can give it a little differentiation from the square or square background pattern. And since this is only one layer of die cuts, I'm not really, oh well, we'll put a gem there. I'm not too worried about it. So let's put that down and then let's find ourselves one of my favorite embellishments, hopefully. Do, 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 do. Oh, those would be fun. There's so many fun embellishments. It's always hard to pick which direction to go. Those would be neat. Those would be fun too. Wonder if I can find what I. Those are not. Ah, here we go. So these are my current favorite. These sparkle gem thingies, which I believe are called ribbon gems for some reason. So I'm just going to cover up our little oopsie there. Then I'm going to balance it by grabbing another one and just sticking it in the opposite corner here. And if you listen to, I think we're going to put a little one under Christmas just to kind of sort of create a visual triangle here. Maybe just here. There we go. And you can, keep blinging this up as much as you want, but this is sort of how the third or the fourth card goes together. So I'll just do a quick recap, and then I'll let you all go for the evening. If you won't share your cards, feel free to tag me. I always like to see what people create. Here was the first card that we did with our green and our gold. And then this is the second one with our fun little background piece. Then our third one with our spray. And then our fourth one here with our little blingy gems and our sort of tile pattern. So thank you everybody for watching. I'll be very interested to see what you make. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And the pre-cut kits will be available until a week from now. So if you do wind up placing an order, just feel free to drop me an email, although I will see that if you do that. And I will probably reach out to see if you want a kit, because sometimes the registration-y thingies don't work as anticipated. Let me just see if... Oh, thanks, Linda. I really had fun. Hey, Belle, how are you? We were just wrapping up, but we'll just do a... Oh, thank you, Alyssa. I almost forgot. Okay. Perfect. See, this is why an audience is fabulous. So for the giveaway, the hashtag will be hashtag July. And let me just click the button to start collecting things. So if you type in hashtag July, you will be entered in the giveaway. Oh, awesome. Thank you very much. I will check those out. That is a fantastic group. And let me share. I see we have one entry. Just like that. So we will pop this up quick. Hey, Judy May. How are you? Welcome, welcome. I guess since there's some new folks trickling in, let me just show you what we are giving away. Actually, I can make myself big for a second while we are collecting those. Those will continue to collect. I see we have 4. So we're going to be giving away the Panda Friends all-inclusive card kit. It makes these 2 card designs, comes with coordinating envelopes. The black and pink one is really cute and has polka dots. And this is a fun little mini slimline. You have your 3 pandas. And if you don't necessarily have to make these cards either. There's a lot of ways that you could reuse these elements. The neat thing is the pandas and the other stuff are basically ephemera pieces. So you could also not make the cards as engineered. But the thing I really like about these is you can see this is it's got a piece of chipboard to keep it flat, but it's small. So it's pretty cool. I really like it from like a travel standpoint. Like if you're going on vacation somewhere and wanted to like mail cards from the place you were at, right? Like you could bring this easily, and because it does all the things, you don't need to you don't need to bring a huge craft menagerie. If you want to bring a huge craft menagerie, that can be pretty fun too. But let me bring up our giveaway. I see lots of people have entered. I'll give you guys one more minute. I see that we currently have 10 entries, so I'll see if anybody else is interested. So if you win, get in touch with me within the next week or so that I can get it out to you. And if there's anything else I should mention about that. Yeah, I think because it's so light, I can ship internationally if we wind up needing to. We'll just see who wins. It'll be funny if Stamper Girl wins because I think Stamper Girl has won twice from me in the last week or so, and everybody says things go in threes. So at least I have her address. If I don't have your address, email me J@craft by J, or just get a hold of me on any social platform. I think we have 12. Give it 1 second to see if we go up or not. Oh, Lennox is excited about the giveaway. If you heard him meowing. Hello. Oh, we have 13, so we're still getting entries. And I think we are. Hey, Don, how are you? Type in #July if you want to potentially win a card kit. You came at the exact right time. I almost forgot about the giveaway, and Alyssa reminded me. It's like this is why it's good to have an audience, because you're kind of like everybody can go and do things. I think we are holding it 13, so I am going to draw the winner. I didn't actually put myself in this time because occasionally I'll do that, and that'll be interesting. We will see. Oh my goodness, you are the lucky. You should buy a lottery tickets, please, because I think you're winning all the things. But that's fine. I already have your address, so you don't have to send me your address because I got it. I know isn't she lucky? I'm like, I don't know. It's sort of like people who win these things. I'm always like, you should just buy a lottery ticket because like winning card kits is great, but like winning actual money would be nicer. So anyway, thanks everybody who played in that. I think we will likely continue the giveaways every so often. Maybe not every class, but I enjoy giving stuff away, so it's going to be fun. Just give our final recap, and we might have another Lennox sighting because he is like you're here, but he's right up here, just watching. But yeah, so I think that's all I have for you for tonight. If you guys have any questions about the cards, or if you need the PDF later, feel free to drop me a line. I can certainly help you out with that. And hopefully you all have a fantastic rest of your crafty day. I'll talk to you guys later. And oh, here's Lennox. We'll let Lennox show us his ear. Maybe he'll sit down. We can move the cards so the cat doesn't sit on my newly done cards. And there we go. Maybe he'll show. I know people are fans of Lennox, so I will just, before we leave, I will say, maybe I'll make you dizzy and just say, here's Lennox. He says hello. Anyway, Lennox hopes you have a fantastic rest of your week. I will talk to you guys later. I am live on Thursday with my friend Shanna, and interestingly, not related to Lennox, but we will be playing with some cat stuff. So there will be cute cat things in our future. Anyway, thanks for chatting, you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and have a great crafty evening.